there, Bleh. Well, hello there, fellow piano students, and today I have a special tutorial for you, tutorial lesson thing, where we're going to talk about Battle Hymn of the Republic. I didn't like that one. Let me try again. I'm getting too picky. Well, hello there, fellow piano students. Tim from Lessons on the Web here, and today we are doing Battle Hymn of the Republic, and I'm going to teach you how to play it on the piano, obviously. So let's not waste any time, and let's get on with the lesson. Okay, I think that one was pretty good, or good enough anyway. All right, so let's get on the move on here, and well, let me do one more thing and explain what we're going to be doing. Okay, so for this lesson, we're going to go about it line by line. So what I really recommend you do is you go, just line by line with us together, and do the left hand, do the right hand first, and then the left hand, and then put them together. Or if you're really speedy and you're really advanced already, you can start out right away putting them together. So let's get to the piano. Okay, now we're going to go to the first line. In fact, we're going to zoom in to the first two measures here so we can see it nice and easy. So here's what we have, right? With the left hand, it's very easy. All you have to do is hit C, right? And then while you're doing that, you're going to count 3 seconds, because that's how long it is before your first note with your right hand, which happens to be G. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then G, right? And actually, I would hit that G with finger 3, because that really helps set up the next few notes, which we'll go over. So this is measure 1 again. It goes, you hit this 1, 2, 3, and then you hit the G. And next we're going to hit play measure 2. So again, you have C with your left hand, while with your right hand you're going to play G, 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 F, and then you're going to spread your hand out a little bit. You're going to go E, G, C, D. I would play that with 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, it's G, 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 F, E, G, C, D, all while the left hand just plays C. Now I'm going to play both measures together, or we're going to play them together. So remember, you're going to hit this, 1, 2, 3. Let's just try that one more time. Just like that. Now we're going to move on to the next two measures, which are right centered in the middle here. So you're going to have C with your left hand, and then you're going to have, with your right hand, you play this with pinky, by the way, you're going to go E, 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 D, C, C, B. So again, with that measure alone is E, 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 D, C, C, B. And then the next measure, you're going to hit F, whole note, you're going to hold it for the whole measure. While with your right hand, you're going to play A, B, C, B, C, A. So let's try that again. A, B, C, B, C, A. Now let's put these two measures together, since we're going to have to do that when we play the song. So E, 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 D, C, C, B, and then you have A, B, C, B, C, A. Next, for just the last measure of the line, where you have C again with your left hand, while you play G, A, G, E, G, G, G. So one more time. G, A, G, E, G, G, G. Then we're going to play these last two measures together. Next, we're going to do the whole first line. And then what I recommend you do is practice that line quite a few times before you move on to the next one. You want to feel comfortable with this first line before moving on to line number 2, which is what we're going to do right now. we're going to go in and we're going to just take a look at the first two measures just to make it easy. So you get C with your left hand. There seems to be a lot of that in this one. Now with your right hand, again, just like in the beginning, you're going to play G, 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 F, E, G, C, D. So let's just try that again. And one more time just to make sure we got it. And now for the next next measure, sorry, you actually have a little bit more going on with your left hand. You're going to play C, G, C, while you play E, 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 D, C, C, but you have to line them up, right? So you're going to hit these first two notes together. You have another right hand note E. Then you have E, D with your right hand while you hit G. And then you hit these C's at the same time. So again, I'm just going to say what the right hand notes are. E, 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 D, C, C. So one more time. So measure 1 and 2 put together. Now we're going to go to the next two measures, which are centered in the middle here. You have G with your left hand while you play D, D, and then you're going to hit F with your left hand while you hit C, B with your right hand. So again, D, D, C, B. One more time. D, D, C, B, and then E down here and C up here. All whole notes. Now we're going to do the next three measures since it fits in there. So right after the whole note you have C again, and now you have G up top, and then kind of like before, but instead of going G, 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 F, you're going to hold G for longer. You're going to go G, F, E, G, C, D. So the rhythm is a little bit different. So let's try it again. G, F, E, G, C, D. Now we've seen this measure sort of before, where we have the C down here, E up here. This is the next to last measure. And then you get G, and then both C's. So let's try it again. So from the measure before, and now for the last measure, you're going to hit F down here, A up here with the right hand, and then you have with your right hand B, and then you're going to hit A and C, C, B, C, A. So again, one more time, just the last measure. And now from three measures before where we started this section. And there we go. I recommend you practice that quite a few times. Now we're going to do the whole line together. So here we go. And now for the final line. It's only 3 lines, so it's a pretty short song. Now we're going to go through these two measures here. You got C on the bottom with G up top with your right hand. So if I ever say bottom and top, I'm talking about left and then right. So C and G, and then G all by itself, left hand, and then C and E. So, and now this next measure we've actually kind of seen before. You have with your right hand again, you have G, F, E, G, C, D. And we've had that before, so that's not too bad. With the left hand, you're going to hit C, when you hit the G up here, F, and then another C, E, G. So when you hit C down here, you hit E, G, and then you're going to move down one with your left hand to hit B, while you hit C, D up here. Now it's going to clash a little bit, but when you play it in the context of the whole song, it sounds good. Just like that. So from the beginning of the second measure, you have these together, G, F, and then you have E, G, C, D. Remember to move down to the B there. There's two measures together. And then you move on to the last, we'll do the last 3 measures. Now with the left hand, this measure, 3 from the end, you have A, C, E. Well, you have E up here. And when you hit the E here, you're going to hit 2 C's up here. So let's do that again. So you have E, C, C. Now the next to last measure, you're going to hit just, all you have to do is hit 2 G's with your left hand. But obviously you have 2 notes for that for your right hand because you have 2 quarter notes per half note. So you're going to hit D, D up here while you hit G. Then you hit C, B while you hit G again. So D, D, C, B. And you just end on octave Cs. Or whole note Cs as well. So 3 from the end. One more time. Okay, and then we're going to do the whole line, and then we're going to do the whole entire song. Okay, now I'm going to do the whole thing, so it's going to be zoomed out a bit so I can see the whole thing, but once you're finished, it should go something like this. Go, we did it. So you may have to watch parts of this lesson again and again. In fact, I do encourage that because you might have to go over these parts quite a few times, especially if you're a beginner. So don't fret if you don't get it, your first try. One thing I really want you to do, and there will be a special prize for this, is I want you to film yourself or record yourself playing this song. Now you can either use this recording or you can find another one. But, after you've watched this video and you've learned the song, post a recording of you playing it and send it to me somehow, whether you link it to me through my email, tim@lessonsontheweb.com. You send it through social media, Twitter, Facebook. You can look me up, Lessons on the Web, there as well. And then what I'll do is, with your permission, or if you don't want me to share it, that's okay. But what I will do is I will feature you in a video of you playing this on my channel. Let me think about something really quick. And then there's an additional surprise, which I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll just have to do it. And then you'll see what it is. It has to do with piano and learning piano. Who knew, right? So submit your recordings of you playing this song. I'd love to see them. And then I'd be willing to feature you on the channel. But if you don't want to do that, I totally understand. And then I will set you up with the additional prize. So anyway, let's see what you have, what you have for us. Rich says, great job, time. I know you got it. Okay. Great homework. Yeah, so I tried to incorporate that into the lesson as well. I'm trying to wrap my brain on whether I should do an outro. I probably should for this. Let me think about what I'm going to say. Oh, let me do this. Alright students, that does it for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it and hopefully you have a wonderful time learning Battle Hymn of the Republic. Again, remember to post your recordings and let me see them for a special prize. And if you're really serious about learning piano and it's your passion, it's something you love to do and it's your dream to to become better at piano, then I really recommend you head over to my website, lessonsontheweb.com, where you can learn a lot more about piano. I promise you will not be disappointed. I have a ton of courses over there. It's actually a whole online academy, but go there to learn more. And one more thing I want to say is like the video, because it really helps other people know that this is a quality lesson that they can learn from as well. And remember to subscribe. I have new videos coming out every week or so, but you can definitely expect one Friday at 2 p.m. That's a solid time where you can expect the next lesson. So to get the latest and greatest updates from Lessons on the Web, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So this has been Tim from You Know Where, Lessons on the Web, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next lesson. Thank you. Yay, I'm glad you guys like the homework. Yeah, so I think for each one I'm going to have a little homework assignment. And then the special, I might not have a special prize with each one, but if you do this one, I'll give you a special prize. You'll appreciate it, I think. So, and then I'll feature you if you want. I think that's a pretty good special prize as well, but I understand not everybody would want that. So I'm glad you guys liked the video. So I tried to do it a little different today, the tutorial. I tried to focus in 2 measures at a time, because I really think going through the entire line, maybe not for this piece because it's easy enough, but I feel like a lot of people get lost. So if I do it like 2 measures at a time and then do the whole line, I'll do it that way. And then when I edit the video together, I'll actually have like little banners that say, this is the first line, and then this is the second line, the third line. And then I'll have like a time code in the description on like, so whichever one you're working on, so say you watch the video one day, you work on the first line, and then you want to go to the second line, and then you want to go back to the first line. You'll just be able to click it, and it will take you there. So I'm trying that. We'll see if that works a little bit better. I'm trying a whole bunch of different things this summer to make the videos even better, so you'll notice a lot of little changes here and there. Okay, everybody, so let me think about what to do. Okay, great, Chesk. I'm glad to hear that. So, like I said, any feedback is always good. I always figure out a way to work it in, at least usually if I can. Okay, let me think about what to do next, because we are changing gears here. Like I said, I'm going to do a little bit more about chords again, because I think I can fit that into my videos, make it even a lot better. Yeah, fingering is really tricky. So even when I do a song, sometimes when I do the final playthrough, I'll actually not use the fingering I suggested. Mainly because it's just like when you're in the heat of the moment, it's hard to remember. It does take a lot of practice, but good. I'm glad you find that helpful. Okay, let's see what else we got. So let me think. Okay, I'm going to do a few more introductions. It's going to seem silly, but they're for the next few videos. Well, hello there, piano students. Tim from Lessons on the Web here, and I have a great lesson for you today. They're all great, aren't they? Today we are doing augmented chords, which is a scary sounding kind of chord, but don't worry. Once you get through this lesson, you'll understand perfectly what it's all about. So let's get started. Hi piano students, Tim here from Lessons on the Web, and today we are doing a special lesson, they're all special, of major 7th chords, which is a kind of a dreamy sounding kind of chord, and by the end of this lesson you'll know perfectly what they're all about and how to play them like a pro. So let's get to it. Hey there everybody, Tim here, and let me try that again. Well, hello there fellow piano students, Tim here from Lessons on the Web, and today we are talking about dominant seventh chords, which are really great for blues. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, or even if you're not, by the end of this lesson you will be a dominant chord playing pro. So let's get right to it. Okay, like one more of these, I promise. Well, hey there, fellow piano students. Today we have another wonderful lesson for you today. Tim here from Lessons on the Web, by the way. And today we are doing minor seventh chords, which have a very interesting mix of sounds to them. And I'll explain why and how to play them and all sorts of awesome things in this lesson to make you a minor seventh chord playing pro. So let's get to it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I like those intros. I think I might go with that from now on. I may do the other camera still, but this was a quite a bit easier to set up. So I don't know. I mean, I think this camera is clear enough, but we'll see what other people think. So let me think about what I'm going to do first. Okay. I'm trying to think things out more. That seems to help. Okay. Okay, we're going to do augmented chords like I mentioned before, and the way to do this is to remember, and actually if you haven't seen them already, check out my major triad video and then the minor triad video in this playlist I'm going to post. It's going to appear somewhere that you can click on to catch you up on that first, because it's really important you understand those two lessons before you watch this one. Okay, so first thing is to remember what a major triad is. And remember that a triad is a 3-note chord. Just a little bit of review here. I messed that up a little bit, but there we go. Thank you, staff pad. All right, so remember that a major chord, right? Sounds like what? Sounds terrible? No, it sounds actually really, really nice. In fact, it is a very pleasant and happy sounding chord. Now, if you remember from the other videos, you can make a major chord built on any note by counting the amount of half steps between the different notes. You know, you have what's called a root, bottom note, third, middle note, and a fifth top note. The same thing is true for this augmented triad. And by the way, a triad is a 3-note chord. So these are all triads that we've been talking about so far. So if you have a major chord already, right, C major, there's only one step you have to do to make that into an augmented chord. You want to take the top note and raise it by a half step. So what's the formula? Well, let me first write out the augmented chord correctly, and then I will write out the formula for us. I think that today is a terrific day for yellow, and so here we have, so the distance between the bottom note and the top note, right? Remember that half step's the smallest amount of movement on the piano. So you hit your first note and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8, the distance is 8 between the very bottom note and the very top note, also called the root and the fifth, and this middle one here is called a third. And then let me put that over here to avoid confusion. Actually, all these numbers are actually kind of confusing up on the screen at once. So what we'll do is next we'll do the distance between the bottom two notes. So the entire thing is an 8. And then the bottom two notes is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 4. which happens to equal 8 the entire thing. So 4 between the bottom two, also called the root in the third. And then we're going to have 4 again between the top two. Hit that note and you go 1, 2, 3, 4. A total of 8. So you have 4 and 4. Sounds very tense, not very pleasant, but that's okay. So next, let's go over to another one, and let's practice a few of these just so we get the hang of how they work, since that is always a good idea, right? So we're going to do a G augmented chord as soon as I can figure out how to write it correctly, that it will understand what I'm trying to do. Really weird. Why? Clearly this part will take some editing. What is happening? Oh, I understand why. Okay, now. Alright, now we're going to do another augmented chord, because it's always good to practice these things, of course. So you delete that one, you draw these two, and then boom. There's our major chord. That's a G major chord. You can look back to the major video as to why that is. So I have a question. Write this in the comments. What note, if I'm in a major chord, I mentioned this before, do I have to change to get to an augmented chord if I'm in major? Remember, major sounds happy. You have to move the top one, and you have to move it where? You have to move it up, what we call a half step, and that will create our augmented triad. And there we go. So that's what our G augmented triad would look like. So hold on. Yeah, you have to change the D to a D sharp. Very good. Okay, one thing I think would be great. So we change to everything view. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you what these look like on the piano, which I think is pretty helpful. So we have our little thing up here again, our little staff. And I'm going to draw a chord, right? And I'm going to talk us through it together. So here is a C, E, and G. That's a C major chord. You can tell right away. It sounds bright and happy. What note do we have to move for this one? It's kind of like what we talked about before. You take the top one and you move it up a half step. So what I'm going to do, and to do that, we use our sharp symbol. And there you go. But this is what it looks like on the piano, the actual chord we're playing. We're playing C. You count up 4 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the other question, leave this in the comments if you know the answer, is how far does the distance between this note, the third, and the fifth, the top note, have to be? Well, you play that note and you go up how many? 1, 2, 3. Pause the video if you need to. Leave it in the comments. 4. So it's 4 and 4, remember? And it doesn't sound so good. It sounds very tense. So you know you got it right. Well, you know you might have it right anyway if it doesn't sound quite as good. Oops. Let's go over here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the chord, and then we're going to do it in reverse. So I'm going to say it, I'm going to figure it out on the piano, and then I'm going to write it down to show you what it's all about. So here we go. So say we have an F sharp augmented chord. That is a tricky one, right? So you have F sharp, right? You hit F sharp, that's your first step. Next, you have to do what? Count up how many half steps. Leave it in the comments if you want to, or just write it down. And then what you want to do is you want to go up 4 half steps. Remember the formula is 4 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you go up 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. play them, and let's see what we have. So we have F sharp, we have A sharp, we have D. That's kind of strange, but it's really tricky. We'll cover this in future lessons, but this really isn't a D, it's really a C double sharp. And that's really because every F chord, whether it's F major, F sharp major, has to have an F of some kind, whether it's F sharp or F flat, an A of some kind, whether it's sharp or flat, and a C of some kind, whether it's sharp or flat. So when we take our F sharp major chord and we actually add a half step up to there, because it was C sharp before, it makes it into C double sharp. So how does this chord look on the piano? Well, it doesn't look so strange. And we have F, A, and C like before, except remember we have F sharp now. I said we have F sharp now. There we go. Next, we have A sharp, right? And next, we have C double sharp. I actually don't know if it's going to let me write a double sharp. I would hope so. A double sharp, by the way, is an X. Oh, it did it. This new version of staff pad is awesome. So we have F sharp, A sharp, and then an X. What is that? Well, that is actually the sign for double sharp. And there you go. There's our F sharp augmented chords. So what I want you to do for the next lesson is I want you to practice the following augmented chords. I want you to go and I want you to play E flat. And then I want you to play an E flat augmented chord. Then I want you to go to D. And then I want you to play a D augmented chord. And I want you to go to A and play an A augmented chord. I gave you the answer there for that last one. So let me know how you did. Let me know any questions you have in the comments, and I would love to hear back from you. So let me see. Okay, fellow students, that concludes our piano lesson today on playing augmented chords, a kind of scary sounding chord, but like I said, by the end of this lesson, you'll probably have a very good idea on how to play those like a pro. And of course, I have a few things to mention to you at the end of this video. One of them is if you're really serious about learning piano, it's your dream to learn piano, it's your passion, and you love the videos and you just want more. You want to learn more than ever. You want to practice more than ever, or at least absorb more information than ever, and have assignments and all sorts of great things. I really want you to head over to my Lessons on the Web Academy, which is at lessonsontheweb.com. And I want you to check it out. I want you to read about it and find out how it can help you really blow the roof off of your piano playing abilities and achieve more than ever before. So, and also, gotta say this, you want to like the video because it really helps other people know that this is a quality video they can learn from as well. And remember to subscribe to get the latest and greatest updates from Lessons on the Web, which you can at least expect every Friday at 2 p.m. for a new video to come out, and even more than that, but we'll stick to the Friday one for now. As a solid date. So this has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm going to see you in the next lesson. So thank you so much. Okay, now we're going to do, that was actually a whole lesson itself because I was planning on doing just a portion of it and then combining it, but I really didn't remember like exactly what I covered in the other one, so I just kind of wanted to redo it all again. So next we're going to do the major seventh chord. There is no major seventh triad. That's a trick question. So diminished chords are 3 half steps and 3 half steps. Augmented chords are 4 half steps and 4 half steps. That is absolutely correct. Okay, back at our drawing board today, where we're going to draw first some major seventh chords, which have a dreamy kind of sound to them. So let's talk about a C major seventh chord, because we do everything in C in the beginning. It makes things oh so much easier, doesn't it? And then what you want to do is you want to hope that staff pad actually knows what you're trying to do. There we go, finally. So we have our C major seventh chord, which is made up of, by the way, if you haven't seen the videos, the playlist of videos about chords, major triads, minor triads, diminished and augmented, you really need to see that first before you're going to get this lesson. So that will appear somewhere on screen for you to click on and figure that out. So here we go. So we are going to have a C major triad, right? We know those so well. They sound so great. Then what you're going to do to find a seventh, by the way, why is it called a seventh chord? Because it has 7 notes? Well, no, it doesn't, right? It only has 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you have your major triad, and then what you do, right, is see how we have C, E, and G? Well, you're going to take the top note, and actually, let me get rid of that top note. You're going to write whatever chord you're playing. So if you're playing C, right, you're going to just write a C an octave above there, which is where it would be. And then all you have to do is take that note and lower it by a half step. So now we have the notes C, E, G, and B. So that's what a major seventh is generally going to look like. Sometimes it's not going to look like that, because depending on where you are on the piano, changes, you know, the amount of half steps in between the notes. Again, check out that playlist I mentioned so you understand everything, because that's really important. So here we have D major triad, right? And actually, let's pretend like we don't even have the seventh up there. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to take D, right? Here's our D. You're going to draw it up an octave. Or you're going to play it up an octave. I'll show you in a second. And then you're going to move that down by a half step. But the problem with that is when you play it, it's not a D major seventh chord. And that's because the top note here has to be a half step away from your what they call tonic. So you see how you have C here and D here. Let me change the perspective for us so I can explain better. Okay, back again. So you see how the top 2 notes, you have D, F sharp, A, and this is where our C is. And I said that that's not a major seventh, and here's why. Because this top note here, the 7th, which is 7 away from the bottom note, has to be a half step away from the octave, from where you started. Remember, octave is like from D to D, C to C, things like that. So you play your major triad, you play up an octave, and then you lower it a half step. This problem is a lot easier to avoid on piano because it's a lot easier to see where the half steps take place. When you're doing it on paper, you have to remember that if you're talking about between like C and D, it has to be C sharp and D for it to be a half step. So the top note is going to be a C sharp. So now we have the right. Does that sound right to us? It should, because it has that dreamy sound to it. Okay, so here is the shortcut for a major 7th chord. You play a major triad. Boom. You go up, and you're going to play a note an octave above from your bottom note. And this only works if it's in root position. But there you go. You have that. You take the top note, and you lower it a half step. And that's your major 7th. Perfect every time. Let's say we have an E flat major 7. You play an E flat major chord. Now you have to learn your major chords first, knowing that it's, you know, four half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3, 1, 2, 3. And then what you do is you're going to play an octave above where you started. So if you have E flat, you'll have E flat up here. You lower it just a half step, and boom, there is our major 7th chord. I'm going to write that one down for us, show you what that one looks like. So remember that it's E flat, so I need an E flat in here and a B flat. And then, is that correct? Yeah, right away, because that D is only a half step away from the E flat. So use that little shortcut, you'll be a major 7th playing pro in no time. I totally messed that up. All right, so let's do a couple more. Let's play an E. No, we kind of did that one already, didn't we? Let's play a B major 7th. So you play B, right? Then what do? Well, you have to play a major triad, right? Which, as you probably know, is 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps between those two, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 between the middle one and the top one. Play all those together. There's your major triad. What's the next step? Leave it in the comments if you know what the next step is. So the shortcut, leave it there. What you're going to do is you're going to play your thumb on the note. You're going to play an octave above that note, and then you're going to lower it a half step. And hey, that's our B major 7th. B, D sharp, F sharp, A sharp. So that one would look like this. You'd have B, D, F, but remember that you need a D sharp, F sharp to figure that out. And then, of course, it did not like that, as staff pad sometimes does not. So you have a D sharp there, you have an F sharp here, and then which other note do we need? Well, we need an A. Oops. It doesn't have to be any A, it has to be A sharp. Oops. Has to be an A sharp. So you have B, D sharp, F sharp, A sharp. Sounds dreamy, right? So if it sounds dreamy, you are on the right track. So is that an A sharp or a B flat? Good question. So it is an A sharp, which I did say a minute ago, but you may be wondering, well, why isn't that a B flat? That's because the 7th, every B 7th chord, whether it's dominant 7th, minor 7th, whatever, has to have a B of some kind, a D of some kind, an S of some kind, and an A of some kind, like that. But obviously, if you have major, those notes change. So the A really needs to be an A sharp. Let me answer some questions. Are there any secret shortcuts you have, Tim? Okay, gave that one. Later, the key signature. If the chord was D, F sharp, A, C, it would be a D dominant. You got it. And then if it was C sharp, it would be major. Okay, students, thank you so much for joining us today for this awesome lesson about major 7th chords, which is a dreamy kind of sounding chord. And hopefully by the end of this lesson, you are good to go on this. A little practice assignment for you is you want to play a few major 7ths on your own. So what you want to do is you want to play a note, right? Like say we have E, right? Then you're going to play an E major triad and use the little shortcut to help you out. So you play the octave above, like mentioned in this video, and then you lower a half step. And I want you to play an E major 7th chord. I want you to play an A major 7th chord, a C major 7th chord, and a C sharp major 7th chord for extra difficulty. So let me know how you did in the comments, and we'll see how things go. And one more thing I want to mention to you is that if you are really serious about learning piano, that it's your dream, your ambition, and you want to go all for it, you want to go to my website, lessonsontheweb.com, where I have my online piano and music academy. So go there and find out how it can help you really go, 10 steps, 10 levels higher in your piano playing and music understanding ability. And then you also want to like the video because it helps other people know that this is a great video as well. and then you want to subscribe, because new great videos are always coming, but at least Friday at 2 p.m. you can expect a new one. There are some more that are coming throughout, but you can definitely count on that date. So anyway, thanks as always. This is Tim from Lessons on the Web. Glad I can help you chase your dream learning how to play the piano. So thank you so much, and have a great day. Yeah, good question, Rich, or good answer, Rich. That's perfect. Okay. Alright, class, now we're going to talk about dominant seventh chords. So if you haven't seen my other chord videos about the major triads, minor triads, the seventh chords and things like that, that playlist, that will appear somewhere on screen that you can click on, so it will catch you up on this, because it's really important to know that stuff before you dive into this. So let us do some dominant seventh chords, which, by the way, sound kind of dreamy. Actually, not dreamy, bluesy. What was I thinking of? Dreamy is major seventh. So it sounds bluesy, right? Like if I was playing B-flat blues, I would be using dominant seventh chords in the bass to give it that bluesy kind of sound. So let me show you what these look like on paper. And by paper, I mean tablet screen. So here we go. So we have A, right? You have C, you have E. We're doing an A dominant seventh chord. So what you need to do first is draw, at least neatly, so your software can understand what you're trying to do, is you want to draw a major triad. So you hit A, you count up 4 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4 to hit C sharp, 4 more to hit the top note, and then what you're going to do is you're going to draw a note an octave above the one we just did. So right there you have A, C sharp, E, and then A. Then what I want you to do is I want you to take that A and move it 1 note down, and hey, we have a dominant seventh chord. It sounds bluesy already, but it doesn't always work like that. So for instance, and the reason this works, because you have an A major triad, and then the last note you have has to be a whole step away from the octave. So remember to watch those other videos in the playlist so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So say we had a C major seventh chord, right? Just move it down to C, get rid of that sharp. So we have not C major 7, but if we have C, E, G, and you do the little shortcut, you go up an octave, come down 1. Well, hey, it doesn't sound right this time. Why doesn't it work? Well, it's because this top note here, the 7th, has to be a whole step away from C, which is the root of the chord that you're in. So you hit C, and then you go up 1 half step, and then 2 half steps for a whole step. So that top one has to be B flat. Let me show you on the piano. So now we have C, E, G, and then remember you go up a whole octave, down a whole step, and that gives you your C dominant 7th. Perfect first try. So let's go over the shortcut to how to do this. So say you have an E dominant 7th chord. You play E. You play an E major triad, right? You know how to do that if you're watching this video. Then what you do is you go up and play an octave above, right? And then the next step is what? Leave it in the comments if you know. You go down a certain amount. You go down 1 half steps? No, 2 half steps, which makes a whole step. So now you have C, or E, G sharp, B, and D. And hey, it sounds correct. That is our bluesy kind of thing. So remember to get the major 7th chord, which we talked about last time. You play the chord, play an octave above, you come down a half step. The only difference between a major 7th chord and a minor one is only one note, and that's the 7th. You move the 7th down by a half step. So say we had F dominant 7th. Is that correct? Well, let's take a look. We have F, A, C. Well, that's our major triad. That's good so far. And then we have E. Does that sound correct to you? Let me know in the comments. But it's not quite, right? It sounds too dreamy. This one's supposed to sound bluesy. And I know it's not correct because the top note is only a half step away from the top note. It needs to be a whole step. So we need to flat that E. So doing them on the piano makes it a lot easier to visualize because you can actually see where all the half steps and whole steps are. When you're doing it on paper and you're writing them and bringing them down, you have to know, which notes have whole steps in between, because not everywhere on the piano, obviously, are there whole steps between the notes. Sometimes there are half steps between like two consecutive notes like E and F. There's only a half step, but between C and D, that's a whole step. So you got to know piano or be looking at a piano to really understand where those are, but I guess you can do it by memory as well. Okay, so what I want you to do for next time, this is your homework assignment, is I want you to play the following dominant 7th chords. I want you to play A dominant 7th. So there's A major. What do? You go up, I'll help you with this one, you go up an octave, and then you go down a certain amount. What is it? You go down. That amount, I'll leave you off with that. You want to do A dominant 7th. You want to do E flat dominant 7th. You want to do B dominant 7th. That one's going to be a little harder. And then B flat dominant 7th. So do those. Let me know how you did in the comments, and we'll see how it goes. All right. Alright everybody, so that concludes our lesson on dominant 7th chords, which have that nice bluesy sound. Remember, you play your major triad, you go up an octave, and then you come down a half step, and you have the right answer if it sounds bluesy. So if you are serious about learning piano, it's part of your passion, and you really want to go at it full force, head over to my website, lessonsontheweb.com, where you can learn about my online piano academy and how it can help you really achieve that next level. And, of course, what would a video be without a thumbs up? Because it really helps other people know that they can learn from this lesson as well. But only leave a thumbs up if you learned something. If you didn't learn anything, no need for the thumbs up. That's okay. And then lastly, you want to subscribe for all the latest and greatest updates, because I have new stuff coming out all the time, but you can expect a new video at least every Friday at 2 p.m. So this has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. Keep chasing that dream of learning piano, and I'll see you for the next lesson. Thank you so much. Yes, Rich, I will definitely post the stream to this. Thankfully, I only have one more type of chord to go over because my voice is getting tired, which is the minor one, right? Okay, time to talk about the minor 7th chord. So if you haven't seen my other videos about chords, my other videos in a playlist, that will appear somewhere on screen so you can see it, and I'm going to redo that. Okay, students, time for learning how to play minor 7th chords. So if you haven't seen the other types of 7th chords, the other types of triad videos, check out for a link that will appear somewhere on screen that you can click to see the playlist on those videos, because it's on those topics, because it's really important to know before we start in this lesson. So here we go. So you're going to have this time a minor triad. So let's say we have F minor triad. right? Now, what you're going to do is, here's the shortcut. You're going to play an octave above where you just started, and then you're going to come down a whole step. So this top note here, you go down a half step, come down another half step, and now you have a minor seventh. So every minor seventh is made up of two things. It's made up of a minor triad first. Just like how the other chords had a major triad first. This time you have a minor triad first. And then they have what's called a minor seventh at the top, which is, like I said, you go up an octave and then you go down a whole step like that. The only difference between a minor seventh and a dominant seventh, by the way, is only one note, and that's that middle note, also called the third. So in a dominant seventh chord, you have a major triad on bottom, F, A, C. Then you have an E flat minor seventh up top. You lower that by a half step, that middle one, and that gives you your minor seventh. So again, remember it's minor triad plus minor seventh. Minor triad plus minor seventh. That will appear somewhere on the screen. Okay, so we're going to try a few together. So let's try a C minor seventh. So what do? Step one, you play a C minor triad, or whatever key you're in. So if it's A minor, whatever. Then you get the idea. B flat, it's going to be B flat minor. So you play C minor, you're going to go up a octave, then you're going to come down a whole step. And there's our C minor seventh. Which, by the way, has an interesting sound to it. It's kind of a mix between major and minor, right? I mean, it sounds sad, but not really. And why is that? Well, if you take the top part of the chord and the bottom part of the chord, so our bottom part of the chord is our C minor, but if we start from the third and do a chord there, that's actually a major chord. So it's really a minor chord combined with a major chord. So that's why it has a very unique, almost a mixed sound to it. It doesn't sound, too happy or too sad. It sounds just right. Okay, so you have C minor, and then you have your, what we call minor seventh. So that sounds right to me, right? It doesn't sound like that. If it sounds too bad, then it's not really the right one. If it sounds bluesy, it's not the right one, because remember, that's the dominant seventh. So let's do one more minor seventh. We're going to do D minor seventh. What is the first step? Write it in the comments if you know. The first step is you're going to play D. What's step two? Step two is you're going to play 3 half steps above and then 4 half steps to make your minor triad. The last step is what? You go up an octave from where you started, you go down a whole step, and that gives you your D minor seventh chord, which happens to be all white keys, all non-sharp, not flat is what I mean. D, F, A, C. And it sounds just right. So for homework, I want you to do the following. I want you to play an E flat minor seventh. I want you to play a G minor seventh. And I want you to play a C minor seventh and a B flat minor seventh. Let me know how that goes for you. It would be interesting to see how that turns out. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. So if it's your dream and you really gung-ho about playing the piano and you're like, I really want to learn more and more about this stuff, and I love these videos, head over to lessonsontheweb.com, where I promise you will learn way more than even these videos can teach you, along with practice assignments, examples, all kinds of awesome stuff to really supercharge your piano playing ability. And leave a thumbs up on this video because it helps other people know that this is a quality lesson they can learn from as well. And subscribe, because more awesome lessons are on the way. We're shooting for Friday, actually definitely Friday at 2 p.m. is when the next lesson's out. There may be a couple peppered in between there, but at least at that time at this moment. So thanks as always. This has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. Keep chasing that piano playing dream, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Thanks so much. Alright guys, so we made it through the entire thing, all the introductions, all the other crazy stuff. And I will post the stream. I think I'll post the whole thing, and then I will post the clips of it later, which, like I said, will be a lot easier. They'll be edited first of all. They'll be a lot easier to follow, and then I'll edit into the little shortcuts I gave you so you can remember. So you guys have any questions or anything? I think I'm going to call it a day here pretty soon. I've been talking a pretty long time, but I wanted to make sure I got some more material to use for those lessons and then try out, a different format. Now, oops. Thank you, Rich. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Only 2 of us today, but I have been neglecting to post the time correctly for the live stream as well as, the event ahead of time. But it does give me a lot of good material to make videos out of, so it's definitely worth doing, and I know you two appreciate it as well. Alright guys, I'm going to call it a day. I think my voice is about done. I also have this, sore on my tongue, and it's, right at the spot where it touches my tooth, so it's really annoying, but I'll survive. We got to record the battle hymn. We did. Oh, do you mean the whole thing? I played the whole thing. I would have to... I thought it sounded pretty good, Rich. I will take a look at it and give you some feedback soon. Not tonight. I think I'm going to call it a day here. But yeah, I can definitely take a closer look at that. It seemed pretty good. There might be something with the rhythm there. I'd have to take a look at the sheet music while I watched it. I just watched it and just kind of opened my ears and listened, and it sounded good. But I'd have to take a look at the finer details. The way you were sitting looked fine. I could see the way you were sitting. I couldn't see exactly what keys you were pressing, but like I said, if I had the... I'll look up the sheet music again, and then I'll look at it when I get a chance, probably tomorrow, a little bit. Oh, that's right. I'm so dense. Did you notice anything I can do? Okay, I did that. I mean, we got it as homework to record us playing it. Yes, do that. That sounds great. And then I'll post the recording for that probably first. The Battle Hymn of the Republic. So, I think that will be fun. Alright, everybody, have fun with your homework. Thanks for coming out again. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will do a new stream on Sunday, and then we will actually be taking a break. No, we have Sunday. I'm talking about lessons on the web. It's going to be a very self-indulgent lesson. And then on Friday, we're having the hangout, and then I think we're off the next week after that, but that's not this week. That's the next one, and then I'm planning out what we're doing for the rest of July into August. Oh man, you can see I'm starting to get to the end of the stream here. And we'll go from there. So thanks everybody. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.